There are things on a cruise ship you'll wish you knew about sooner. And by sooner, I mean before you ever set foot on board. Most people only discover these tricks halfway through the cruise, right after they've already wasted money, missed out on the good stuff, or spent 3 days wondering why their cabin door keeps rattling at 2 a.m. The truth is, cruise ships in 2026 run on a whole mix of hidden systems, timing windows, unspoken rules, and if you know spots that regular passengers walk past every single day. And once you learn them, your whole vacation changes. I've learned these the hard way by making the same mistakes everyone else does and watching thousands of other passengers make them too. So today you're getting the real practical insider list, the 10 things on a cruise ship you'll wish you knew about sooner. Not the generic stuff you've heard 100 times. These are the things that actually make your cruise easier, cheaper, calmer, and flat out better. Let's get into it. Number 1, why the first 24 hours are the cheapest time to fix anything. Most cruisers don't realize this, but the first full day of your cruise is basically your golden hour for getting problems solved, fast and sometimes with a little extra thrown in. After that, everything gets slower, busier, and way less flexible. Here's why. On day 1, every department is fully staffed, fully reset, and still running on turnaround day energy. This is when maintenance, housekeeping, dining staff, and even guest services are at their quickest, because issues haven't piled up yet. So if your balcony door rattles, your fridge isn't cooling, your shower pressure is weird, or your dining time is wrong, this is the moment to say something. I've seen passengers wait until day 3 out of not wanting to be a bother, and by then, the queue is 20 people deep. Engineering has a list the length of the ship, and you'll be told they'll monitor it, which is cruise speak for we'll try but don't expect it today. Here's a little insider bonus. When you report something early, the staff know they still have the whole cruise to make it right, so they try harder. I've even seen people get small onboard credits, a plate of treats or priority attention, just because they flagged an issue immediately and politely. It's not guaranteed, but it happens more often than you'd think. The earlier you speak up, the more they can actually help, and the smoother your whole trip becomes. Number 2. The cruise secret spots for avoiding motion sickness. Here's something longtime cruisers learn the hard way. Not all parts of the ship move the same. You can be feeling perfectly fine until you walk to the wrong deck and suddenly you're holding the railing like it's your last lifeline. Crew know this. In fact, when a passenger turns green, there are 2 or 3 spots they quietly send them to, and these places aren't written anywhere. The sweet spots are always in the middle of the ship, on lower decks, right where the ship's center of gravity sits. But even more specifically, crew often point guests toward tucked-away lounges, hallways, or indoor viewing areas that barely move at all. I've used these spots myself on rougher cruises, and you honestly feel like you've stepped onto a completely different vessel. There's usually one midship lounge that almost never rocks a hallway near the medical center that stays surprisingly stable. A midship stairwell landing that's basically motion sickness heaven. And if the seas really start to roll, head down a deck or 2 from your cabin. The difference is huge, like going from a roller coaster to a gentle airport walkway. I wish cruise lines would include this in the muster drill, but they don't. So when you see someone wobbling around clutching their stomach, now you know where you'd send them. And more importantly, where you can go to feel human again. Number 3, the quiet decks that stay empty, even on sea days. Every cruiser has had that moment. You walk out to the main pool deck ready to relax, only to find every chair jammed with towels, sandals, abandoned books, and the occasional inflatable flamingo. But here's something most passengers never discover. Every ship has hidden quiet decks that stay empty, even at peak midday chaos. These aren't the adult-only areas everyone knows about. I'm talking about the unmarked side decks, the observation walkways tucked behind the lifeboats, and those random forward or aft spaces that technically aren't secret. But nobody ever bothers exploring that far. The funny part? Some of these decks have better breeze, better shade, and way less noise than anything on the main pool deck. I found my favorite one completely by accident. I was avoiding a crowded elevator and took a wrong turn down a quiet hallway. A door opened to the outside, and suddenly I was standing in this peaceful, half-shaded spot with 10 empty loungers and not a single person in sight. Meanwhile, the main deck looked like a beach festival gone wrong. If you explore the ship on day 1, and especially the outdoor areas that don't appear in the promotional photos, you'll find these gems. And once you do, you'll use them every day. They're perfect for reading, sunbaking, or just escaping the buffet-level noise when the ship feels packed. Most people never think to look, but once you know where these quiet decks are, you'll never fight for a chair again. Number 4, the hidden snacks and drinks you can get for free but never show up on menus. Cruise lines love to advertise the big stuff. The buffets, the main dining room, the pizza place, the soft-serve machine everyone raids at midnight. But the real treasures are the quiet little freebies hidden around the ship that never appear on any menu, any app, or any official list. For example, most cafes on board will give you things like hot chocolate, plain tea, cold water, cookies, and even certain pastries for free, as long as you don't accidentally ask for the paid versions. I once watched a couple pay $12 for a hot chocolate that's literally free if you ask for the regular one instead of the specialty one. Same machine, different wording. In the main dining room, there are also off-menu desserts and appetizers you can request on certain nights. These come from older menus or backup batches, and they're often better than what's officially offered. My go-to is asking, "Do you have anything not listed tonight?" And 9 times out of 10, you get something unique. Another secret spot is the bar. Some bars serve complimentary bar snacks like nuts, chips, olives, or even little finger sandwiches, but only if you ask. They won't put them out unless someone starts the trend, and once that first bowl appears, suddenly everyone around you wants one too. These hidden freebies won't save you thousands, but they'll make your cruise feel like you're getting way more value than everyone else. And honestly, it's fun knowing the ship has all these little secrets tucked away, just waiting for someone clever enough to ask. Number 5. How to use guest relations without waiting 47 years in line. If you've ever stood in the guest services line on a sea day, you already know. It moves slower than the Wi-Fi during sail away. But here's the part most cruisers never learn. The line only looks like that because everyone goes at the worst possible time. There are 3 moments when guest relations is practically empty, and 1 moment when it's so packed, the crew quietly avoid walking past it. The worst time is right after dinner, when everyone suddenly remembers their Wi-Fi doesn't work, their onboard account looks wrong, or they want to change something before tomorrow. I've seen the queue wrap around the lobby like a theme park ride. Go then, and you'll age a decade. But go early in the morning, right after the ship fully wakes up, and you can walk straight up to the counter. I've also had great luck mid-afternoon on port days when half the ship is still exploring. And the sneaky one, late morning on embarkation day, after the initial rush dies down. Most people don't even realize you can go then, but the team is already working and they're fully staffed. Here's the bonus tip. Walk up confidently with exactly what you need. The crew love it when passengers know their request, have their cabin number ready, and don't open with, "I just have a quick question," because it's never quick. The smoother you are, the quicker they can help, meaning you're in and out while the rest of the ship is still rehearsing their speech in line. Master these timing windows and you'll never spend half your vacation waiting to ask a 20-second question. Number 6. Where the real power outlets are when your cabin has none. Every cruiser has that moment when they walk into the cabin, look around and think, "Wait, where am I supposed to charge anything?" Some older ships still have one lonely outlet that looks like it survived the Titanic, and newer ships hide their USB ports so well you'd think they don't want you finding them. But the secret is this. The ship has far more charging spots than your cabin, just not where you'd expect. Most bars and lounges have outlets tucked behind chairs or along the walls, and they stay empty because nobody thinks to look down. I once charged my phone in a piano bar for an hour while listening to live music, and not a single person noticed the PowerPoint under my seat except the pianist, who gave me a thumbs up like I'd unlocked a life hack. There are also hidden USB ports in odd places like the library shelves, the computer center lounges, even if the computers are gone, the plugs remain, and sometimes along the indoor promenades behind pillars. Some ships even have outlets near the elevators on certain decks. No signage, no fanfare, just quietly there, waiting for someone desperate enough to wander around with 3% battery. And here's the real pro move. If your cabin truly has nothing usable, ask your room steward if they have an extra extension cord. They won't always say yes, but when they do, it's a game changer. Some will even plug it in behind the TV for you because many TVs hide a secret power port no one ever checks. Once you know where to look, you'll never panic about battery life again. Even on the oldest ships where charging your phone feels like trying to restart a vintage laptop. Number 7. Why you should always visit the medical center on day 1, even if you feel fine. This sounds strange at first. Why visit the doctor when nothing's wrong? But this is one of those insider things you only learn after cruising enough to see what really happens behind the scenes. Stopping by the medical center on day 1 isn't about treatment. It's about information. The medical team will quietly tell you things the cruise line never puts in the app. What's going around the ship, whether the seas will be rough that week, the busiest times to avoid coming in, and what over-the-counter meds they run out of fastest. On one cruise, the doctor even warned me, "If you ever need us this sailing, come before dinner. After dinner, it's chaos." And he wasn't joking. That line was out the door most nights. There's also a practical reason for checking in early. If you ever do get sick later, even mildly, having a quick day one note in your file makes everything much smoother. They already know who you are, you're not a new case, and they'll often get you seen faster because you already made that first contact. Crew families do this all the time. It's one of their oldest tricks. And lastly, this is the perfect moment to ask what they recommend for seasickness, dehydration, or those little problems everyone gets on a cruise but no one talks about. They'll give you honest answers because they haven't been overwhelmed yet. You don't have to stay long. 2 minutes, a friendly hello, and 1 or 2 questions. And suddenly, you have an advantage over thousands of other passengers who won't visit unless they're already miserable. Number 8. The secret menu items you can only order if you ask on the first night. Most passengers walk into the main dining room on night 1 thinking the menu is the menu, but that's only true if you never ask questions. The first night is actually when the kitchen is the most flexible, the chefs are fully stocked, and they haven't locked into the tight routine they hit by day 3. If you're ever going to get something off menu, this is the moment. Here's the trick. Ask your waiter, "Is there anything not listed tonight?" You'll see their eyes light up because they know exactly what you mean. Sometimes they'll mention classic dishes they can still make, like a simple grilled chicken, a pasta tossed with whatever's fresh, or a dessert from a previous night's prep. I've had waiters bring out entire plates that weren't advertised anywhere, and the table next to me looked like they were watching a magic trick. On specialty dining nights, the same thing works. A lot of ships have crossover ingredients. The steakhouse might share produce with the Italian restaurant, or the sushi bar might prep extra sides that aren't officially sold. If you ask politely on night 1, they'll often experiment a little and bring you something unique. Try the same thing on night 5 and you'll get a smile and a, "Sorry, we're a bit limited tonight." The fun part is, you never know what you'll get, and that's what makes it feel special. Meanwhile, the passengers who stick to the printed menu will never realize they could have had something better, just by asking while the chefs still have the freedom to say yes. Number 9. What actually happens if you don't do the muster drill correctly. Most people treat the muster drill like an annoying speed bump between boarding and hitting the buffet. But in 2026, the enforcement has gotten a lot stricter and far more serious than most passengers realize. Cruise lines don't exactly advertise what happens if you skip it or don't complete it properly, and that's because the consequences aren't fun. Here's the reality. The ship knows exactly who hasn't completed it. Your cabin key, your wristband, even your app activity, all link to your muster status. If you don't check in correctly, the system flags you, your cabin, and anyone assigned to your muster station. And then comes the part nobody expects. A crew member will come find you. I've seen it multiple times. You'll get a knock on your cabin door from a safety officer or your muster captain, politely reminding you that you need to complete the drill immediately. They will not sail until every single person is checked off. If you ignore that, you'll get restrictions placed on your cabin, including locked purchases, frozen accounts, and in some cases, you're literally not allowed to leave your section of the ship until you comply. I watched a couple on one cruise who thought they did it online already, and, well, they didn't. They missed sail away completely because they were stuck redoing the drill in person. The point isn't to scare you, it's to save you from the embarrassment of being the person they call out before sail away. Do it early, do it correctly, and you'll never deal with the awkward knock on the door or the "please report to your muster station immediately" announcement that everyone knows is meant for you. Number 10. The retired crew trick for getting the cheapest drinks, spa, and excursion prices every time. This is one of those tips that sounds too good to be true, until you use it once and suddenly you're saving money on things everyone else overpays for. It's a timing trick that former crew members and their families swear by, and it works because cruise pricing changes more than people realize. Here's how it goes. The best deals almost never show up when the app says they will. They show up after the ship adjusts for real demand. And that happens in 2 specific waves. The first wave is a day 2 mid-morning, right after the cruise line sees how many people actually bought drink packages, spa passes, and excursions on embarkation day. If numbers are lower than expected, which happens a lot these days, they quietly push out discounts that can drop prices by 10 to 25% without announcing anything. I once saved $69 on a thermal spa pass because I checked at 10:45 a.m. while everyone else was still eating waffles. The second wave hits late afternoon on a port day around day 3 or day 4. Most passengers are off the ship, there's no crowd, and the crew already know which tours or time slots didn't sell well. That's when you'll see last-minute markdowns, 2-for-1 spa treatments, drink package today-only deals, and even hush-hush discounted tours the desk won't mention unless you ask directly. The trick is simple. Don't ask, "Are there any discounts today?" Ask, "Have any prices updated since this morning?" Crew instantly know what you mean. You're asking the question people who understand the system ask. And almost every time, the staff will check their screen, glance up at you, and say something like, "Actually, yes, a few things just changed." Meanwhile, everyone else will pay full price because they checked once and assumed that was it. Use this trick, and you'll walk off the ship knowing you squeezed way more value out of your cruise than the average passenger. And honestly, that's part of the fun.